shit. Who we got? Holy shit. It's stirring the pot. Don Kincaid with my very big special guest, one Bear Boulder. I call him Beefcake. I've always called him Beefcake, but I got to respect the man because I only weigh 35 pounds. It's Bear Boulder. Welcome, my friend.
Don, thank you very much for having me today. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Man, whenever I reached out, I go, I hope you don't claw me through the messenger. And you said yes. I shit myself. I go, I'm going to get me a bear. And look at, boys and girls, we've got half of bear country. It's Bear Boulder. Again, I call him Beefcake. I think I might switch back and forth. It could be fun. It could be dangerous to my life. We're going to take that ride together. Hey, one beef boulder. No, I cannot do that. Oh my God, you'll really kill me. One Bear Boulder. It's a pleasure. First off, I've seen you perform a bunch of times in my area, Massachusetts. Seen you at the big American Rana over at Foxwoods. Mm-hmm. Holy shit, what a show that was. Now, I've seen you at a few places. I've seen you at a transition from one to another, the gimmick, if you will, an evolution of one Mr. Boulder. And so what I like to do, I pull back the curtain a little bit. We don't have to get too personal. We don't want that. I mean, because I stalk you. I follow you on the Facebook and stuff. So we'll get, we don't want to get, so enough of my rambling. Mr. Bear Boulder, I don't want to do the old general question. So I want to dive right into American Rana because for me, that was something special. As a fan, the place was jamming. It's at Beyond Wrestling. There's fans slamming all around the ring. As a wrestler, I like to give the perspective to the fans. So talk to us, the fans, on how the ambiance and what you took away from American Rana this past year at Foxwoods.
Well, American Rana at Foxwoods this past year was the first time that I ever wrestled in a casino. And Foxwoods isn't just like, it's a huge, ginormous casino with a lot of things to do. So I remember me and Bronson got there the night before the show. We stayed over and we actually kind of helped with the setup with the ring and everything. And it was just that giant room with all the chairs that were there. We walked in there and we were like, literally just like this, like looking like, wow. Like it was.
That room was gigantic.
It was. It was definitely a first for me, that kind of atmosphere. Show day was pretty much the same thing. It's just, I think about it almost every day. Still one of my favorite matches to this day too.
Now, talk to us, the fans, on who your opponents were. If you don't follow Beyond Wrestling, you got to be living under a rock. One of the most main top promotions on the independent scene today, creating stars. The stars come through, the whole 9 yards. But tell us, the fans, who'd you go against at American Rana?
Me and Bronson wrestled Santana and Ortiz, formerly known as LAX, formerly known as EYFBO. It was it was a match that, if I can go into it a little bit, how it came to be. So me and Bronson debuted for Beyond Wrestling at episode 5 of Uncharted Territory.
That's amazing.
Yeah, May 1st of last year, actually, coming up on 1 year. And that first night there when we wrestled Milk Chocolate, indescribable feeling. It was best favorite debut ever. The Beyond crowd really took to us, and they kept bringing us back and facing teams like Butcher and the Blade and the Beaver Boys and To Infinity and Beyond. Actually, shout out to Colin Delaney right here of To Infinity and Beyond. And it just built. It kept building until Beyond Wrestling ran a secret show I think it was June. June 9th, somewhere in Boston. And I remember there were whispers of people actually hitting up IWTV being like, hey, is Bear Country going to be on American Rana? Is Bear Country going to be on American Rana? And it was pretty much like, well, people are asking. So, and it was like, well, who do they face now? I'm like, well, the aces of Beyond are Santana and Ortiz. So it just makes sense to do that there. And that's how it happened.
Now, you caught those guys at the absolutely perfect point in their career. That date at American Rana couldn't have happened any better if those were the two guys that you really wanted, because they had that switch over right in between Impact and AEW, and you guys got them right in between. It was an amazing match.
Thank you.
Crowd, the crowd. I mean, we like to talk about the crowd because that's us. So I like to kind of gauge on the men and women that are in the scene. When you hear us, or do you? That's actually the question. When you come out the curtain, do you hear the adulations? Do you hear when you're in the ring the pops and all of that cool stuff? Or is it something where, you know what, I got a job to do. I got this tunnel vision thing. I have to worry about this. I worry about that. Where do you sit on that situation?
Well, me personally, I always try to feed off the crowd. So our music hits, we come through, like to take a quick little pause and just kind of like slowly survey everything that's going around. And it's a little phrase I always was taught by was, you don't wrestle for yourself, you wrestle for the people. So it's, no matter what promotion I'm at, no matter what, like whatever kind of wrestling the crowd wants to see, I try to give that to them because it's what they want to see. If I'm at a place like Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling and there's a ton of kids in the crowd, you know, we're gonna have like a fun kind of character-driven match. If I'm at Beyond in American Rana and there's 1,000 people there clamoring for this bang indie strong style friggin' match, that's what I'm gonna give them. Yeah. So it all depends on really who I'm performing in front of.
Mm-hmm. Now, the Beyond crowd is absolutely hot 1,000 times out of 1,000 times. Yes. They never fail. Now, you were speaking of, they wanted Bear Country for American Rana. How does that feel as a performer? Because again, we're going to talk about the transition, but now you're in Bear Country. Bear Country's really trying to make a mark. I've seen your run. You've gained some titles here and there. We're going to talk about that. And now Bear Country is wanted to be on the WrestleMania of Beyond. What does that do for a performer?
Well, it was quite a shakeup for us because for us, it happened pretty quickly. I mean, like I said, we debuted last May for Beyond. And before that, like, we weren't even like sniffing Beyond. It was just, we went in a matter of a few months, we went from not being on Beyond's radar to literally being on American Rana. Yeah, and it was kind of a lot to take in. It was kind of like, what, like hearing like, hey, we're booked for Beyond. Wow, that's great. And then it's like, hey, we did, hey, they want us back. Oh, that's even greater. It's like, they want you for American Rana. I'm like, it happened at like a pretty fast pace, but I think we handled it very well, and I think we delivered when it came to it.
Who did you guys ever? Man, you guys make one hell of a tag team. You take us on rides. I'm very story driven. I like characters. I like many aspects of wrestling, but give me a character that's story driven. Oh my God, I'm fucking done. I mean, you've got me forever.
I agree.
Absolutely. Now we're on kind of the same wavelength. When you're upcoming as in your beginnings of a wrestler, are you looking to be story driven? Are you looking to be character driven? How did you kind of get your feet wet in there? What were you looking to do specifically?
At the time when I got in, I really like a lot of people when they get into wrestling, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I've always like my favorite wrestlers of all time are guys like Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, like the big, larger than life characters. And I always wanted to be something like that. But also when I first started training and you're learning everything, you're learning the basics and you're learning the moves, and you're like, well, this is kind of fun. Maybe I could just do something where I'm just like really intense and just, throwing people and stuff like that. But once you actually start getting out there and start working shows and getting an understanding of yourself, then you can kind of start developing a character into what you are comfortable doing. At least that's how it was from my experience.
It sounds logical to me. I mean, I'm just a fan, but I've talked to many men and women. Besides these interviews, I kind of go to shows certain places quite early. Again, not stalking, just kind of hanging out. But oh, excuse me, I don't have the Kincaid. I swear I don't have the Kincaid. But I like to go to the shows and kind of do little promos. I do this little Kincaid file thing. We do a public access show in Wallingford, and we have a lot of fun. So getting to perspective, that message right there, I think is fine because, man, you've got to work at your craft, and everybody's different. Sometimes your stories are similar, but nobody's story is ever the same. So going into training, now let's get into that. Now, first off, where did you train? Because I'm always interested in that. And where does Mr. Boulder, Boulder Bear, I always forget. I don't know. Where do you call home base?
Well, I started training in May of 2013. So I'm going on 7 years now. I trained at a place back then. It was called Pro Wrestling Syndicate out of New Jersey.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
They were located in Rahway, New Jersey. After Hurricane Sandy damaged their home base, they had to move to a town called Metuchen. And I started there, and I was trained by Pat Buck, who's now a producer with the WWE, and Dan Moff. Been indie worker over 20 years. Recently, he's been with Ring of Honor these last few months. So I had good training, and let's see. Yeah. Now, not really anywhere right now to say,
Okay.
because in 2006, beginning of 2016, PWS faded, and out of it came a new company that's still in existence called WrestlePro.
Mm-hmm.
It's still based out in New Jersey. They draw like the biggest crowds in the state. It's a very fun promotion to work for because Pat still has a hand in it, even with his current job.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't pop in too much anymore because I'm so busy with the bookings and everything, and work and stuff like that. But I guess I can still call WrestlePro as my home place and where I started.
Nice. I know some fine men and women at WrestlePro, and if from school to school, everybody says this is the way, this is the way, this is the way. But if you kind of check this place out, check that place out, it's almost like it's not doing the seminars. It's not the same, but you get different vibes. You get different experiences in training and such. Is that something that you've ever done? Is tried to go to different schools?
I have. One of the things that you pick up when you start training in wrestling is that, except for a few certain things, there really is no 100% concrete, absolute way to doing professional wrestling. That's something that Pat was big on teaching. His favorite saying, if you did something he wasn't too sure of, he would say, "Well, it's not right, it's not wrong, but I wouldn't do it." That's just how he would simplify things. But I've really like actual trained other places. I really haven't. Like I've done seminars at places like the Monster Factory, the Worldwide Dojo, where the Ring of Honor school used to be. It's run by Cheeseburger. I've done 2 Beyond Limitless tapings at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, and that's really about it. Venturing outside of WrestlePro.
Well, I'll tell you, uh, Mr. Brian Fury, again, producing some fine, wow,
Yeah.
fine men and women in our industry. The people that are coming out of there that I would assume at some point you have worked with, not all of them, you can't work with all of them, but now you're seeing them on this crazy platform, which is, the WWE, the AEWs, the NWA now, those kind of companies. Is that where, and I'll use it as a collective, is that where Bear Country is looking to do, is get to that plateau? Look at the Viking, Mr. I still call him Hanson. I'm sorry, it is what it is. And Mr. Rowe, and now they're on the WWE platform. Is that where Bear Country's kind of looking to go, or are the indie scene you're good?
100%. I mean, I can't speak for Bronson. I can only speak for myself. My whole thing in wrestling is I kind of look at it as really anyone who's super serious about it when they first get in, is that you want to make it your living. So I don't know. The way I look at it is that if I were to be approached by a company that big and they were offering me money where I could support myself off of it, then I would take it. That's just how I look at it.
Could you talk to the fans, because you talk about making a living using the wrestling as a career? You did mention you have a regular job, what they call a shoot job, and a wrestling. How? Please explain to the fans, how does a I don't know how, especially at the popularity that Bear Country is right now in your schedule. How in the world do you balance both?
Well, sometimes it's really hard. I know people that have lost jobs because they've chose wrestling over doing their jobs, like they call out too many times or something like that. I know people like that. Me, I'm lucky enough where my boss, like I'm a bouncer, and I'm lucky enough where my boss is also a professional wrestler. His name
Ooh.
is the Big Deal, Craig Steele. He's out of WrestlePro also. He mostly works around New Jersey. He's my boss. So he lets me, you know, he's pretty lenient.
Yeah, you've got a nice schedule that you can work around. Not saying that you can't go to work, but hey, you a bouncer didn't see that coming. Holy crap! Uh, um, now again, I'm not all there, so I kind of just bounce around and I don't write nothing down. I don't like it like that. But let's go back to when I knew you, before the whole bear country stuff. I started seeing you at like XWA out in the Rhode Island area. You come out to, I believe, I want to say, like you mentioned, Paradise Alley Pro, and a couple others maybe. You were a character called Beefcake,
Yes,
and
it
I do
was.
notice on your name, your name in the parentheses, it still says Beefcake. So I was very afraid to call you Beefcake because I don't want to die. Uh,
That's on me. I need to update that.
okay, all right, good. I didn't want it to be on me. Um, please take us, the fans, on a ride on how you became Beefcake.
So Beefcake was something I came up with around the end of 2014, beginning of 2015. I was in a tag team with the Prince of Aesthetics, Damian Gibbs, who no longer wrestles. We were called the Aesthetic Enterprise. We had a manager, Jay Enterprise, and at the start of it, I was kind of just like being myself. I went by my real name, but I was just like, you know what? Maybe there's more I can kind of do to this. And we were heels, and I kind of got the idea for like this like out of shape, in shape guy, this guy who was like heavy set and but like still worked out and could like still kick your ass, but was like really self-delusional, cocky heel was kind of what I went for. Like it was like a husky guy who worked out but thought that he was like way more jacked and in shape than he really was.
Well, to be honest, I've never seen anybody boo you as Beefcake. I've only seen everybody get totally behind Beefcake. So, I mean, I don't know. That might have backfired if you were trying to be, the heel kind of thing.
It did a little bit because we weren't necessarily a comedy tag team, but we did some pretty hokey things in matches sometimes, and it would get people laughing and sometimes cheering. Like our gimmick was that we were like these vague, cocky underwear models. So my partner would wear, he got trunks that looked like underwear with the outlinings and everything, and I got ones that would look like they were boxer shorts. So it was just so pretty much that's how Beefcake started. I was a delusional, cocky, plus size underwear model.
Now that makes a little bit more sense. Thank you for that explanation, my friend, because whenever I first saw you, I'm like, what's going on? I mean, I love characters, but you are a big man, and you're doing this. And I know wrestling's over the top. We definitely got that, but little skimpy on the trunks, the shininess, the not flamboyant, maybe flamboyant.
Yeah,
And
a little bit.
holy cow, the crowd absolutely ate that shit up, man. We loved it. And anything you did in ring, you could say anything. You could probably say sheep and we would crack up or something. You were fantastic.
Thank you.
Now, you do this weird ass transformation. All of a sudden, I see you turn into a bear. You're with Bear Bronson and you're doing this tag team. And I'm like, what just happened? I don't get what happened. Polar opposites, if you will, character to character. Again, take us, the fans, on a ride on how does one come? How does one? I just don't get it. How does one go from being so adulated by the fans, got kind of a kooky, over the top character? You come in, you're a bear, you wear a singlet, little darker, little mean, a lot meaner, but still. The modern fans, they still cheer for you because it doesn't matter if you're a heel or a face nowadays. They still pick what they want to cheer for. Take us on a journey. I still don't get it. Beefcake to bear.
Well, what happened was me and my old partner, we stopped teaming around the end of 2017. And even before that stopped, I just had this idea because like I was doing Beefcake, I was having fun doing it, and I was getting bookings, but nothing really like big or noteworthy. And I was like, you know what? I'm having fun doing this, but maybe I could try something different to try to maybe take myself to the next level. I also looked at it as a challenge to myself because at that point, for most of my career, I had just done like, you know, the Beefcake thing, which was kind of just like, you know, hokey and laughy, you know, and I was like, you know what, if I just, like you said, 180 degrees, if I can just transform into like a vicious killer type, I like to challenge myself. And I got the idea. I was training at WrestlePro, and WrestlePro has a sister school in Long Island called Create a Pro, which is owned by Pat Buck and Kurt Hawkins.
Mm-hmm. And
that's where Bronson is from. And I was like, you know what? Bronson's a big dude. I'm a big dude. If we get together, I'm not saying I'm not taking 100% credit for Bear Country, but Bronson will tell you the same thing. I kind of had the initial idea. So I was like, I'm a big dude. He's a big dude. If we start teaming, maybe we can make something happen. Mm-hmm. And at the end of 2017, we started. And then I think it was the first place that really gave us a shot as a team was Chaotic Wrestling. April of 2018, that was when we debuted there. And then at the end of the year, we were Chaotic Wrestling Tag Champs. And then stuff just started building from there.
Chaotic, under the tutelage of Brian Fury. Again, his name pops up. My man, Brian Fury. Very respected in the industry, not just the United States, all over the globe. People know Brian Fury everywhere. Mm-hmm. I've seen, because again, I stalk you very close. I follow you very closely on the face page. I know, I'm sorry, sir. On the face page and such. And I did see when you won those Chaotic Championships. And just like you said, Bear Country had a different value than they did previous. Because Chaotic creates stars, man. Those championships did a ton, a world of difference for you guys.
Yes, they did.
Who did you fight? Take us on a journey of how you guys both felt as a team winning the Chaotic Championships.
So when they brought us into Chaotic Wrestling, immediately they threw us into a feud with the Main State Posse, who were the Chaotic Wrestling Tag Champs at that time. And we carried it all the way to, so Chaotic, kind of like how WWE has their big 4 shows every year, Chaotic has like a big 5. They do Pandemonium, they do Cold Fury, which is like their WrestleMania. They do the Chaotic Countdown, their Royal Rumble, Summer Chaos, and Breaking Point. And we faced them at Breaking Point, November 2018. That was the initial blow-off to the feud, and that's where they dropped the belts to us.
Ooh, man, Main State Posse, those guys doing again a great tag team, doing a lot of stuff, man. Those guys are everywhere. Now you win the Chaotic Championships. Those belts are probably some of the most beautiful independent, not just independent, even some of the pros, man. Those belts are absolutely gorgeous. You guys win the championships. How many defenses did you have? How long were you champions there?
We were champions at Chaotic Wrestling, I want to say from November 2018, and then we held them until June of 2019 when we lost them to Killanova, to Royce Bishop and Trigger the OG. Yep.
I'm sorry. It's not my fault, but I'm just from all of us. I'm sorry.
It was all right.
That's okay. Christian Casanova, top talent. You got to give it to him. You know, it is what it is. I will say, then you guys, you make your way, and I've seen you in XWA. Now, if that's previous to the timeline, I apologize. But
It's not.
Okay, it's after the Chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, you go into the XWA, and man, I love the XWA. I was going there all the time, like twice a week sometimes, and that's over a 2-hour ride for me. So it kind of took a toll on me. I had to pull it back a little bit, especially as a fan. I mean, it's a little tough sometimes, you know, but love the XWA. Saw when you guys won the straps, and you put those things over you. And I swear, and I shit you not, just because I'm talking to you, I popped like I was right there when you guys won them. When I see, you know, you go into the back and take the fan pics or whatever, I popped like an MF. I go, holy shit, Bear Country's the new XWA champs. I was flipping the F out. Again, who did you beat? How did that go?
So we won the Chaotic Tag titles November 2018. We won the XWA Tag titles that coming March. I forget what the name of the show was, but it was March 2019, and it was against a team of XWA students, John Steele and Joey Bones. They were wrestling as a tag team at that time called Bones of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happened was recently we were supposed, before them, the tag champs were the Workhorsemen,
Yes.
Anthony Henry and James Drake. And we were supposed to work them, but scheduling-wise, it never got to that point. So they dropped them to Bones and Steel, and then we faced Bones and Steel at the March show, and that's where we took them from.
Bones and Steel, their stature compared to Bear Country, again, polar opposites. Holy crap. They must have been, and you know, any guy that gets in the ring and looks across the ring says, I'm not scared. Looking at you two guys across the ring, they must have been scared shitless. Just saying, champ or no champ. I'm, you know, just saying. So you win those straps. Now, man, XWA, that's a cool environment over there. Got the cool little ramp and the nice setup, and they got the gorilla in the back and all of that stuff. And I love XWA. What a cool environment over there. Now, beyond wrestling, I like to get the gauge of the men and women I talk to. Now, they have their uncharted territory at the White Eagle. It used to be like they were doing their shows once a week at the
Electric Haze.
Electric Haze, yes. I always want to call it the Blue Haze. I think it's like a strip joint or something. The Electric Haze. The ambiance is a little bit different because of the size of the crowd, but is there a nervousness or a difference when you walk in from like an uncharted territory to an American Rana?
Well, American Rana, yes, because well, first I didn't know what to expect, never being at the Foxwoods, and it was just such a big match for us. At that point, that was definitely the biggest match in our careers. Probably still is. The first time we worked Uncharted Territory was at Electric Haze, and I missed that building. I really liked it there. And I mean, not so much that it was a nervousness going in. It was just like, all right, we're here. We're at Beyond. We're finally here. Let's just kill it. Let's kill it. It was just more of that kind of mindset. And then we had like a nice 5-minute get over match with Milk Chocolate, and the crowd loved it. And when we got to the back, it was just like, wow, it's over. But that was amazing. Kind of like that.
Do you feel the TV, because everything is recorded at Beyond? Do you feel the TV when you're performing?
Yes, because one of the benefits that at least I had in my training was that when you train under Pat Buck, because he spent a lot of time in WWE developmental, he teaches you how to work a TV style match, where the hard cam is, where the floor cams are. It's all I've been trained to work a very TV style. So I get to a show, I'm like, where's hard cam at? Like, all just stuff like that, because I try to treat every match, even if there's no cameras, I try to treat every match like I'm being seen on TV.
Mm. Now, I've seen you in some bang up matches as Beefcake and your transition as a bear. But I've seen you in some really crazy shit with your partner, Bear Bronson, not just traditional matches, like hardcore style, almost to a degree, if you will. What makes a man? I don't know. What makes a man go from a traditional match and to be like, you know what? I'm up for doors, ladders, throw some tacks on the floor of the mat. Do you prefer one or the other, or do you rather not do the hardcore style, or does it really matter? Because it's all wrestling, and I'm gonna do it all.
Well, stuff like that I prefer more if it's part of a story. I mean, I wouldn't really want to be known as like a hardcore wrestler or a deathmatch wrestler, because it's just not my style.
Right.
I have a big appreciation for it because a lot of my friends are deathmatch wrestlers, and I think it's great that they do it. They're the nicest people in the world, a lot of them. And the other thing is just like for example, I don't know if you saw, but the Beyond Wrestling New Year's Eve show, the last Heavy Lies the Crown, we wrestled Team Tremendous in a Fans Bring the Weapon match. I'd never done anything like that before. So I knew what to expect, but I also didn't. And that match was insane. I still hurt from that match. It's
because there's a big giant question mark. You just never know what's going to happen from when the bell rings to when the bell rings. You just don't know. The elements are just so crazy. I've been to some hardcore stuff. And I've never gone to like the death match stuff, if you will. Like personally, I've seen stuff on tape or whatever, because I mean, I'm a little older. I've seen a lot of VHS shit. But I've actually been to a Dirtbag Dan versus Len Oddity. They take the ropes down. They put the barbed wire up. I got to witness that. And holy shit, that is no joke. Now you say, I've got friends. Some of my good wrestling friends are in it. It's cool that they do it. It's a cool part of the wrestling. It's its own separate art form than it is to be totally honest with you, because it takes a certain guy to want to do that on a regular basis and be part of that scene.
Oh, totally.
Because they use light tubes, they use weed whackers, they use you fucking name it, carpet tack, and so the unknown is always there every single match. It's just it's got a big question mark. So I was just kind of curious on your take, because some wrestlers are like, I will not touch that hardcore stuff at all.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little bit older. I like that AWA, WCCW coming up. The older WWF, the Morocco, Ivan Putski kind of stuff. When you're a wrestling fan, as a little bear, a little cub, if you will, What are you watching?
I am watching my two favorite time periods in wrestling are late 80s, early 90s WWF and Attitude Era. I mean, I love watching it because to me, I just enjoy watching wrestling when it was at the peak that it's ever been, popularity wise. And I can watch I can watch like Hogan versus Savage from Mania 5, or I can watch Mankind beating The Rock for the WWF title at the beginning of '99. And you're watching it and it's like, wow, this is literally, it doesn't, popularity wise, it just doesn't get higher than this. This is when it was hottest, and it's just cool to watch it at that time.
I find that the Attitude Era is a very common denominator when I ask that question. It seems the Attitude Era, like you said, the popularity was at its height because I'm kind of a media guy, but I try to follow viewership. And as I have over the course of a few years, I've looked back at viewership. Back then, during the Attitude Era, we're talking on a weekly basis. It was like at about a 14, 15 million a week viewership, or a show, I should say, the Monday Night Raw. Now we're talking under 3 million, sometimes under 2 million a week are watching.
That's right.
Like, holy shit, man. Again, I like to gauge the men and women. Do you, because you've been in the game for a little bit though, do you watch wrestling still? And do you critique it as a worker? Can you watch it as a fan? And do you go to the WWE, ROH, New Japan? Those few questions, could you give us some of that for the fans?
Well, honestly, I really don't watch too much of the current product these days. I really should, because as someone who's in the business, I should know of what's going on. But not that I'm saying it's bad or anything. Like, I'm not here to say like this current wrestling is bad or I hate it or nobody should watch it or anything. I'm just saying, like, for me, it's just not what I really prefer to watch. Mm-hmm. Like, usually when I watch wrestling, I'm usually on the network going back and watching old stuff. But that's just me. Like, I'll still watch all the current pay-per-views, and I'll see like Raw and like SmackDown highlights or something, and I'll check into AEW every once in a while. But that's really about it. Like I said before, I know I probably should keep a better tab on what's going on in the current TV wrestling world, but I don't know. Something about it just doesn't really do it for me. And that's just me.
Hey, but some are really like, you've got a schedule, and I know you can only fit so much in between work, wrestling, and everything you have to do with wrestling. But yeah, I mean, sometimes when you're a busy worker, and I know you have to try to keep an eye on the pulse, sometimes you just can't though. So sometimes it's just not manageable. Now, you guys go on the road. Do you like when fans come up and do that intermingling during, doing the merch sales and stuff like that? Do you find it cool to mingle with the fans, or are you like, hey kid, got the t-shirt and, kind of move along, kind of do that? Because I find sometimes not everybody's approachable at the merch table.
Well, that's true. For the most part, I really do enjoy it, especially if it's a kid, because I always try to picture myself, if that was me coming up to the wrestler, how I would want them to act. I mean, some fans get a little no,
you don't say.
A little too interactive. I don't like yell at them or anything like that, but it's just like, all right, here's a shirt. It's like, no, but for the most part, I really do enjoy it because it kind of takes me back. Like, wow, like I said, if I was a kid and I met a wrestler that I really liked, I'd be really bummed if they told me to like piss off or something like that.
So, well, that's like the difference. One of the many differences between independent wrestling and the bigger shows, if you will. You go to a WWE show, and say if you can even remotely see somebody for an autograph signing, there's a line with people, person after person after person, and you don't get that personability when you're actually being able to And I know you guys are busy and many others are busy when you're doing the merch sales, but at the indie shows, it's almost you could take a little bit more time than you can at the bigger show. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And the merch, Bear Country, Bear Country's got to be going through some merch because you guys are popular as AF, as the kids say, popular AF. Do you guys now? This is again something I never asked. Is this some? Do you guys keep a tab on your merch sales? Do you do them yourself? Do you have a helping hand? Is it through the promotions? How all does the merchandise thing go?
Well, whenever we have physical merchandise, we always just take care of it ourselves. The last time we had shirts, they went pretty quick. We actually haven't had shirts for a little while. That's on us. Our shirts actually sell pretty well on Pro Wrestling Tees, so we got that going. But as far as actual physical merchandise, we really do need to restock because it's been a little while. We need shirts, we need 8x10s, I don't know, maybe pins or something like that. Everyone's doing pins now.
Hey,
So something like that.
we the fans, we like those little things, the stickers, the pins, magnets or whatever. I mean, we're ridiculous. I mean, I don't know what the hell is wrong with us. So you give us those little things for $1 or $2 and that we eat that shit up, man, you know? And hey, imagine how many stickers, buttons, and stuff like that Bear Country would push out along with their, oh man, you guys would kill it, man. Now, me personally, I like to bring up the baby faces, the good guys. And when I go to the shows, I do the media stuff down Kincaid and I do little promos and whatnot. And then when I get to the bad guys or the heels, I kind of dig in a little bit. And of course, they dig in back and probably pee and poop on me a little bit more than they should. But hey, that's my fault. My mouth is running. I deserve it. Now, do you guys like to do promos? Because I try to figure out how easy it is from person to person. Is it something that comes naturally? Do you prefer not to, or do you like doing them?
I love doing promos.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part of wrestling. It really is.
Oh,
I love getting in front of a camera and talking. I love doing promos.
well, there's a bit. Maybe that's why he said yes to this crazy dude. He was like, "What, camera? Hell yeah, I'm in." Have you and Mr. Bronson talked about when all of this crap kind of comes to maybe some semi-normalcy? Do you and Mr. Bronson have any sights on specific promotions coming out of that gate? I mean, we're working for Beyond right now. We've done some Limitless tapings. Again, big giant names right now. Some of the top on the industry. What other promotions do you guys have your sights on?
Well, obviously, we're really looking forward to come back to Beyond. We were very upset because before all this madness started happening, we were set to do the next Limitless show, but that had to get pushed back. We're currently, I guess I can still say currently, involved in a feud over at Northeast Wrestling with Insanely Rude over the NEW tag titles.
Ooh, I know me some Insanely Rude. I've watched them guys grow as competitors. Holy cow. Love. I'm sorry. They're your opponents. I don't love Insanely Rude. I would never say that.
It's all good. RJ and Zane are really good kids. I really like them.
I love Insanely Rude.
Really looking forward to going back to Canada because over the past year, we've worked for some great promotions in Canada like C4. C4 is one of my favorite places to work now. Smash Wrestling, Alpha One, LDDC. Canada is always a great time, and I always love going there.
Wow, it sounds popping up in Canada.
Canada's great.
Man, that sounds awesome. Now, I noticed, and I know this doesn't kind of pertain to you, but it does pertain to your partner. I kind of keep my eye on the pulse around here. I try to. Mr. Anthony Green is the runner, the promoter, the booker, if you will, of 10. I always mess this up. 0 USA 1 0 1 USA 0 USA 1 Northeast.
0-1 USA Northeast.
Thank you. Holy cow. And he had this cool little tournament going on, and he is the first ever, if I'm not mistaken, their
Yes.
first ever champion. Could you talk to us about that? Because maybe the fans never heard of the company, or this whole thing going on. Could you explain what's going on with your partner, Bear Bronson?
Well, I know being the first 0-1 USA Northeast champion means a lot to him. I really admire what Anthony Green is doing there, because I know for me personally, I would never want to be a promoter. I think it's just a huge headache and a lot to deal with. So the fact that he's able to cope with all that and maintain his great indie schedule, my hat goes off to him. I have a lot of respect for Anthony Green and Evie. I haven't done a 0-1 show since last November, which was a fun show. I haven't been back since, which, don't worry, I'm not mad about it or anything. But I'm very happy for my partner that he was able to become the first champion, because I watched his tournament matches and he killed it for that whole thing. So I'm very happy for him.
Now, for the boys and girls that are very familiar with Bear Country, I don't know if you know this little tidbit fact, and it's a fun fact indeed. There is Bear Boulder, there is Bear Bronson, but there's also Bear Blue Shoes. There's a little baby bear, and I had her on my show because we just celebrated Zebra Week. So I had on my show not only Ref Gina, Ref Miggy, a few of them, Ref Quinn, but again, there's a third member. I call her Bear Blue Shoes. Talk to us about Bear Blue Shoes, because she's cute as a button.
Gina is really cool. She's one of my favorite people in wrestling. I met her for the first time when I did my first Paradise Alley show a little less than a year ago. And I've seen her more at shows and stuff. And honestly, I really don't know how the Bear nickname got stuck with her. I really don't. I mean, I sure as hell didn't give it to her. But I know for a fact she has like one of those little knit hats that has bear ears on them. And it's it's a very, very cute hat.
Now, again, I adore Ref Gina. I've known her a little bit before she became a ref, so it's been amazing seeing what her career has done so far as a referee. I mean, she's just absolutely killing it. But I seen one picture that is one of my all-time favorite pictures of Ref Gina, and it's with both of the bears. And you guys have your masks, but she put on like this paper thing, and she was like, I'm a bear.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that picture. That's effing hilarious.
I remember that. That was really funny. She popped me huge with that when she sent it to me.
Oh my God. That shit just tickles me pink, man. I love that stuff. As a fan, we love that kind of interaction, because it takes the ring announcer, referee, the wrestlers, and sometimes it's always the wrestlers that put up the ring, but then there's other hands that help out. It's the guys who's ringing the bell and the girls. It's everybody that takes that whole package to make one event. It's insane how many people it takes. Like you said, it's got to be a pain in the ass to be a promoter.
Yes. I mean,
so to have fun with a referee as such as Gina, I just think it's absolutely it's enjoyable for me. That's just I'm selfish. I love it, man. You guys are having a blast.
Well, Gina also is a very good ref. I think she's very good at what she does. I always like when she refs my matches. And yeah, that's about it.
Now, you're gigantic, and can you tell us where does she come up to you?
Let's see. I'm like 6'5". So she comes up to maybe, I don't know, maybe about like here. About.
Oh, that's all God. Oh, she's gonna kill me when she watches this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she will.
I love you. I love you so much. Mr. Bear, Mr. Boulder, I should say. Now, what I also like to do before we before I do have to let you go, I like to see if we can kind of sneak, maybe because I know you're a busy man on the road with your brother Bear Boulder and such. It could be as Beefcake, it could be as a Boulder, no matter what. No matter what, could you give the fans a road story that's antidote that sticks out in your mind? Because I'm sure you've got 1,000 of them. Could you share one with the fans?
I'll give you a quick one.
Sure.
So it was after an XWA show one time, and we're driving back to New York, and I had a lot to drink, not alcohol wise, but like a lot of like water and seltzer and stuff like that. And I really had to go to the bathroom. I really had to pee. And to the point where I was just like, look, man, there's no rest stops around for miles. Can you just pull over to the side of the road, please? So he does. Bronson pulls over. I get out. As soon as I'm about to go, a cop car pulls up behind us. And because we accidentally pulled off in one of those areas where it's like, if you're having car trouble, it's like a help station to pull over on the side of the highway. So I see the cop pulling up. I'm like, shit. And Bronson immediately just pops his trunk. And he goes, just make it look like you're looking for something. I'm like, okay. I go around to the back. The cop comes out. He goes, so yeah, so you guys pulled over. Like, what's the trouble? I was like, no, there's no trouble. It's just like, I'm looking for something here in the back. He goes, oh, you're looking for something. I'm like, yeah, we're professional wrestlers. I'm looking for if I lost something. As soon as I said professional wrestlers, his face like lit up. He was like, oh yeah? I was like, yeah. Oh, I thought I left my my mask behind at the building. Oh no, wait, I got it right here. It's fine. And he was like, oh, let me see that thing. And he was like looking at the mask and holding it. And then he came back to me and he goes, all right, you guys drive safe. Have a good night. I'm like, phew. And then I got back in the car, let him drive away a little bit, got out, and went back.
Well, Bear Boulder, again, hanging out at the merch booth, we wouldn't be able to get those little stories. So I really, truly appreciate you sharing with us, the fans. That was amazing. I appreciate it.
Of course. It's a funny story. I like telling it.
Well, we found so much out about Bear Boulder. I really, the transformation from a beefcake to a bear really took my mind for a spin. You've taken the fans on an amazing ride. We love the shit out of Bear Country, man. You guys are doing it, and you're doing it right. So don't stop whatever you're doing, man. We love you guys.
Will do, Don. Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
This was Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very, very special guest, Bear Boulder.